Hey everybody, it's PartyElite, and today we're taking a look at another Total War Warhammer 3 trailer. This video is going to be a little different from my usual analysis type video, and I'll explain why in a bit. But first, let's watch the trailer, shall we?
Nothing endures without harmony. And harmony only endures through us. We are unmoving like the mountain. We will not be drowned by the raging river. Behold the wonders of the Celestial Dragon Empire. The might of our warriors. The secrets of our alchemists. The sorcery of the dragon-blooded. Vanquish chaos with the sheer power of the dragon. Let them face the majesty of Grand Cathay.
Cool, so apart from that last shot, which, like, bravo to the animators, this looks absolutely amazing. But apart from this shot, this is a very nothing trailer. I'm gonna warn you right off the bat here. If you're looking for a video that's just gonna talk up every frame of this trailer, excited about inconsequential things, this is not that video. I'm actually quite disappointed by this one, especially after the amazing Cathay and Cinch reveal. But hey, we're all starved for literally any information about this next game, so I guess it's nice to at least see something. Now I understand, sometimes folks just want to be excited, and I'm usually the type to be cautiously optimistic at the very least myself, at least until it's time for reviews and all that, but there are some problems here, and there's one major flaw. Not just with the trailer, but also with Creative Assembly's approach to Total War Warhammer marketing in general. And I think some of those aspects are extremely important for us to discuss as fans, not just of Total War or of Warhammer separately, but of the two coming together. And I'll touch on that more after we actually analyze the trailer itself, what little there is to analyze. And for that, let's start from the beginning. We open with a siege battle that looks like any siege battle from the first two games. Arguably worse. This looks like that one Game of Thrones siege battle that every armchair general wants to poke fun at. You know the one. The Battle of Winterfell, where the defenders position themselves, artillery included, outside of the defensive walls. If I were to analyze this, all I could say is that it's proof that artillery still doesn't work properly during siege battles. Rather than struggle with recording a clip like that, they just position the artillery outside. Why would you do this? Why would you have the opportunity to show us, or at least hint at, how sieges have been reworked? Again, a major talking point for the last 2 years now. And instead do this. This is a conscious decision. Why? Pink Horrors evidently have a ranged attack, okay, good for them. And Cathay Alchemists, or Sorcerers here, have an ability that deflects ranged attacks. This might be the one substantial new thing we're actually looking at in this trailer. There have been ranged resistance spells before, but none quite like this, if memory serves me right. And it does look like the deflected ranged attack does damage where it lands, but I can't be sure if that's a result of the spell that's doing the deflecting, or if it's the actual attack that determines that end result. At the end of the day, truth be told, we don't even know if this is how this feature will work in the game, if it even exists in the game, because this is still just a trailer. It might be shot in-engine, but it is just a trailer. Crossbows confirmed, probably repeater crossbows because China allegories. Actual in-game Cinch models looking... well, it looks like they did a hue shift on Photoshop to make things blue and called it a day. I was really hoping that the reveal trailer was just using some older models or something, maybe because of the process of developing a cinematic trailer. Maybe the artists were given the old models to block in and make animatics and stuff, but before the in-game models were complete and approved by Games Workshop perhaps, the trailer had to go out, and they figured it'd be fine because people would be even more excited when the unique in-game models were first revealed. I didn't think that was actually the case, but I was holding on to a sliver of hope, and that hope has been dashed against Slaaneish's giant rocks. Here's the other Cathay legendary lord. He can also transform between dragon and not, but we already knew this. And he uses fire magic, and you can see my previous analysis video about yin and yang, and how yang is often associated with fire, the sun, and masculinity, while yin is associated with water, the moon, and femininity. You see what they did there? The yin-focused battle was at night and focused around the female legendary lord, and the yang-focused battle is during the day, focused around the male legendary lord. It's real cheeky stuff. I don't know if anything here is new. We see cavalry way in the background, like 7 or 8 pixels, and we can see the different unit sizes as far as entity count is concerned as well, sure. Jezzail's doing exactly what you expect them to. And I do really love this paintbrush aesthetic here. It is beautiful, and you might as well use those 3 Kingdoms assets somewhere, am I right? Sorcerers sorcering. Cool dragon shot. And that's it. Man, look. I think if you're familiar with the channel, again, I know I said this earlier, but it bears repeating. If you're familiar with the channel, you'll know that I try to be cautiously positive until review time comes around, and that's when I buckle down. I like being excited for stuff. I like looking forward to stuff. I like generally being a happy and positive individual, and I am looking forward to Warhammer 3 still, but it's October 2021. The game was originally set to release sometime within the next 3 months. It's now probably releasing in 6 months with my assumption of a March release date, but either way, it's been in development for how many years? You can't tell me there isn't any actual gameplay to show outside of these survival battles from a few months ago. Somewhere down the line, it feels like Creative Assembly forgot that they sell video games, not movies, and we've seen months of either silence or fluffy trailers and blog posts. Look, I get it. The lore is interesting. The models are interesting, especially if you're huge on tabletop. Seeing this stuff and hearing Cathay come to life is, I'm sure, really exciting for many, just because of the implications to the greater Warhammer Fantasy Battles universe in general. But lately, with Warhammer 3, Creative Assembly has really been leaning on that crutch to just get people excited about nothing. Because they have nothing. More on that in a bit. It feels like this feedback loop where they show nothing to do with, any actual gameplay in this supposed video game, but folks interested in Warhammer outside of Total War get excited because, of course, it's cool to see. And that excitement drives more wish lists, more social media conversation, more clicks, and so the marketing team at CA probably, and perhaps rightfully, thinks, cool, we can keep doing this when there's nothing substantial to show. Their bosses are happy, investors are happy, and all it takes is a couple of blog posts talking about lore and hinting at unit abilities, coupled with the occasional visual feast in a trailer or screenshot. All style, no real substance. Maybe, with 6 or so months, or perhaps even 12 months to a release date, because I wouldn't be surprised if we see another delay, but maybe, just maybe, there's actually nothing to show. And I'm not being hyperbolic here. I'm really starting to believe that Creative Assembly has had to rework large parts of the game, or otherwise scrap plans, or something drastic and something big. Because this kind of marketing reeks of buying time, which you need to do when you, again, have nothing to show. It also makes sense as to why press and content creators haven't had access to another build. There's nothing to get our hands on. At least not anything that's presentable at any rate. You can't give us access to a build that looks like it's a year away from release when your supposed release date is early next year. I'm making some assumptions, sure, but I think they're fair ones. Correct me if I'm wrong. But tell me, how do the reworked siege battles work? What's Cathay's unique faction mechanic? What about Siege? What does the campaign map look like? The other 50% of the game. What are the unique faction mechanics on the campaign map? What new universal features can we expect on said campaign map and on the battlefield as well? What even are the bounds of the campaign map? Or, you know what, sure. What's the pre-order bonus? Oh, you know what would be cool? Some complete unit rosters, maybe. Show me unit stats and abilities. Sure, label them as work in progress, but get the community talking about game mechanics and systems, not just fluff and assumptions and how many bears are in the Kislev roster. Man, the 40k game Chaos Gate just dropped a trailer yesterday, and that shows you parts of how the game actually works, and they only just announced the game a handful of months ago, if even that, and it's an indie studio. This kind of lore-focused marketing push works great for DLC, because you can expect relatively minor changes for the most part, with a couple of fresh mechanics for the 1 or 2 factions being added. Is that what we can expect here? Are there not enough new mechanics to rely on generating hype? That they're instead relying on faction lore and a flashy unit model or two? And even then, hell, at least typically a DLC trailer like this will drop with a Steam page and blog post chock full of actual information telling you what the new mechanics are and how they work. They'll even get like a little mini site, like a landing page, full of information about legendary lords and various units and abilities and all that kind of stuff. The Warhammer 3 Steam page, by comparison, is pitiful for a whole new game in this series. I'd expect a lot more time to be spent showing us how things actually work, but like I said earlier, they're relying on this crutch. They're relying on us being excited just to see more Warhammer stuff. Liking, commenting, engaging, helping spread the word, getting more eyes, getting more wish lists, making investors happy for the quarter, etc., etc. I feel like the right move right now, if you want to start seeing actual gameplay footage from this game, is going to sound crazy, but I think the right move is to remove it from your wish list. I know, again, I know, it sounds crazy, sacrilegious even, but let's be real here. How do we know that this $60 to $70 game isn't going to just be a few rehashed concepts on a new map? The only faction mechanic we do know about, with Kislev, is very similar to the High Elves. Are we really going back to base game Warhammer 2 levels of creativity? For the launch of Warhammer 3? I'm just screaming questions into the wind here, because none of us have answers. And I'm starting to think that CA doesn't either. Anyway, I'm just a little exhausted of it all, to be frank. I'm here trying to get excited for and dissect a video game, a strategy game at that. Mechanics, systems, factions, unit stats, these are the meat of these games. Instead, I feel like I'm watching glorified trailers for Games Workshop, trailers that they could never have made themselves, and even if they did, you'd only find them behind a paywall on their streaming service or something. This trailer has one major flaw, like I say right in the title. It's useless. I'm really curious how you guys feel about the current state of the marketing around this game. I know some of you think that the game won't need marketing by virtue of it being a Warhammer game, and you know what? I agree with that, and that's part of the problem. I don't think Creative Assembly feels the need to innovate or show off said innovations with Warhammer anymore. Not like they did with the first game, or even with the DLC for the second. And maybe some of you feel the same way, that we've gone too long on a promise of good things to come, but never actually seeing them. Or maybe you think I'm completely off base, and all this marketing has been a genius way to get us to forget about how they did Three Kingdoms dirty, or how poorly handled Troy's Steam release was, or maybe, you think this is exactly what Warhammer Total War marketing needs, or I guess Total War Warhammer. The name flip keeps throwing me off, even, over a decade later. Anyway, I don't know. But I'd love to know what you think in the comments down below. I'll read them all, I'll take your opinions into consideration as well, and I'll let it inform me as I move forward with my Total War Warhammer 3 coverage on this channel, how I go about doing it, what I focus on, what I don't focus on, and it just helps me to know sort of how people are feeling, and if I'm on the same page as everybody else, or maybe I need to course correct. As always, don't hesitate to subscribe to this channel for more strategy gaming content, and as always as well, of course, a massive thanks goes out to all of the channel members and patrons who've been supporting the channel on a monthly basis. Y'all keep us alive and running smoothly. And of course, a big ol' thanks goes out to each and every one of you for watching. Until next time, cheers.